Spring 2025 is bringing a bunch of new anime for us. 62 in total, or 63 if you want to count Netflix's Devil May Cry. The question is, how will you decide what's actually worth checking out? Some might stand out to you already, like the new season of Fire Force, which is already well known and familiar. But did you also know that the director of John Wick and the director of Cowboy Bebop have teamed up to make an anime together? Could you guess which one? That's where I come in and why you're watching this video. Whether you knew or not, I have spent the time researching and compiling all the information for the 25 most popular spring 2025 anime this season. Things like what streaming platform you could find this anime on, the days and times that you could expect each new episode to release, reading the synopsis for new anime, how well received the first episodes were according to the online community, and my own personal thoughts sprinkled on top. All in hopes of making it easier for you to keep up with the latest and greatest in anime now, and maybe even help you find something new to watch. You're also more than welcome to play this video in the background while you do something else, as I'm basically just here to report the information I've researched, my impressions after checking out the first episode of each new anime, and I'm going to be reading all this information out in a podcast-like style. So with all that said, let me introduce myself, as I'm Frank, your anime news reporter for today, and let's get into it. For number 1, we have Fire Force Season 3, which is available on Crunchyroll and Hulu. This was announced to be the final season, but sadly, it'll be divided in 2 parts. We can expect 12 episodes in this spring season core, and the last 12 episodes won't start to premiere until January 2026. Hopefully this means it will be worth the wait, and we'll get some very high quality final episodes. The first episode of Season 3 premiered April 5th, plans to broadcast Saturdays at 2 AM JST, and the first episode currently sits at a score of 8.1 on my anime list. David Production will be the studio handling it, and was a same studio for the previous 2 seasons. So that should mean that we're in good hands and can expect the same great adaptation quality we've come to know and love. After seeing the first episode, everything seems pretty fantastic so far. Number 2 is for my personally most anticipated anime of the season, Lazarus, which is available on Adult Swim as well as HBO Max and is an anime original. The first episode premiered April 6th with a score of 7.7, and plans to broadcast Sundays at 11:45 p.m. JST for a total of 13 episodes. I want to highlight the most exciting aspect of this anime has 2 legendary directors working together. The main director is the very same director and creator of the beloved classic Cowboy Bebop, Shinichiro Watanabe, and the other director is Chad Stahelski, who is the director of frickin' John Wick, as well as a stunt double for Keanu Reeves and was also the martial arts instructor for The Matrix. He will be directing everything related to action in Lazarus. This is a collab none of us were expecting, and I'm very excited to see where this anime goes personally. With all that said, let me read out the synopsis what this anime is actually about. The year is 2052, an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity prevails across the globe. The reason for this, mankind has been freed from sickness and pain. Nobel Prize-winning neuroscientist Dr. Skinner has developed a miracle cure-all drug with no apparent drawbacks called Hapana. Hapana soon becomes ubiquitous and essential. However, soon after Hapana is officially introduced, Dr. Skinner vanishes. 3 years later, the world has moved on, but Dr. Skinner has returned, this time as a harbinger of doom. Skinner announces the Hapana as a short half-life. Everyone has taken it will die approximately 3 years later. Death is coming for the sinful world and coming soon. As a response to this threat, a special task force of 5 agents is gathered across the world to save humanity from Skinner's plan. The group is called Lazarus. Can they find Skinner and develop a vaccine before time runs out? When I was streaming this to you guys in the Discord, this was by far the greatest hit with you guys. Everyone seems to be deeply impressed so far, and for good reason. This is already a very unique anime that stands out from the rest, likely due to it having that Cowboy Bebop feel to it already. The main character already radiates spike energy, we got jazz music, and every character has a very interesting design to them that makes me excited to keep watching and learn more. Number 3, we have Windbreaker Season 2, is available on Crunchyroll, Amazon Prime Video, YouTube, and Apple TV. The first episode premiered April 4th, plans to broadcast Fridays at 12:30 AM JST for a total of 12 episodes, and the first episode currently sits at a score of 8.1, which is a very respectable rating so far, and is being produced by the same studio who did Season 1, Cloverworks. Number 4, I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Season 2 is available on Crunchyroll. The first episode premiered April 5th, plans to broadcast Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. JST, and the first episode currently sits at a score of 7.3. It's being produced by a different studio than Season 1, however, which was handled by Reveroot, but now it's Studio Teddy, who has a reputation for being responsible for anime like Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is a little concerning, but after checking out the first episode, you can hardly notice a difference in my opinion. It's still just as good as Season 1 so far. Number 5, The Beginning After the End, is available on Crunchyroll. It's a fantasy isekai that is an adaptation of the light novel of the same name, written by the user Turtle Me. The first episode premiered April 2nd with a current score of 6.6 on my anime list, plans to broadcast Wednesdays at 11:30 p.m. JST, and is being handled by Studio ACAT. The synopsis reads, the story follows the strongest king in history, Gray. Although he possesses unparalleled power, wealth, and fame, there's no one to stand by his side, and he trusts no one. One day, Gray suddenly meets his death and is reincarnated as a powerless infant named Arthur in a world of magic. Surrounded by a loving family and companions, Arthur stands to experience joys in his life that he never knew in his previous one. However, during the journey, his family is attacked by bandits. Thus begins his second life, filled with love and adventure. I'm telling you now, after checking out the first episode, it's pretty much just a clone of Jobless Reincarnation, except unlike Jobless Reincarnation of a loser getting reincarnated, this time we have someone who has committed unspeakable, unmeasurable war crimes. Regardless, I still kinda enjoyed it, and it might be worth checking out. Number 6, My Hero Academia Vigilantes is available exclusively on Crunchyroll. It's based off a spin-off manga that is considered a prequel and not connected to the main My Hero series. The first episode premiered April 7th with a score of 7.6 and plans to broadcast Mondays at 11 p.m. JST. Produced by Studio Bones Film, which is part of the renowned Studio Bones, who have made some of the best anime out there. The synopsis reads, living in a superhuman society, it is hard to feel special. Even more so when the spotlight only shines on professional heroes, those legally authorized to use their special powers known as quirks in the public for the greater good. Koichi Haimarori grew up aspiring to be a hero, but with a mediocre quirk like sliding that ties him to the ground. He soon came to the conclusion that he could only ever admire from below. Despite this, Koichi finds contentment in using his quirk to carry out day-to-day good deeds, such as returning lost items and helping the elderly cross the street. However, Koichi's tame life takes a swing into the turbulent when he is rescued from the back alley brawl by a vigilante, or legal hero, Knuckle Duster. Seeing hero potential in Koichi, Knuckle Duster enlists his help in tracking down the source of the dangerous drug known as Trigger that boosts the user's quirk at the expense of their rationality. Set in a time before the events of the original story, Vigilante, Boku no Hero Academia Illegals, follows Koichi as he chooses to don the reputation of a villain and becomes a vigilante, operating in the shadow of the law to prevent crimes from taking to the surface. If you're not caught up on My Hero or ever watched My Hero Academia at all, you can watch My Hero Vigilantes safely without worrying. It's set in a completely different setting, time, but it's still the same universe, it's just completely different characters. It's actually pretty good in my opinion. Please put them on, Takamine-san. It's streaming on Crunchyroll. It's a comedy, romance, ecchi-based anime rated R for mild nudity, and I'm impressed by Crunchyroll to be uploading the uncensored version, which isn't normally like them. The anime is an adaptation of the manga written by Hiragi Yuichi. The first episode premiered April 2nd with a score of 6.5 on my anime list and plans to broadcast Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. JST for a total of 12 episodes. Being produced by Leading Films, the synopsis reads, Takane Takamine is great at everything she does, and her magnetic personality makes her the envy of everyone. She gets good grades, excels at sports, and even manages to become the student council president during the first year of high school. But Takamine has a secret. She possesses an ability called Eternal Virgin Road, allowing her to redo past actions and achieve a different result. While this might seem like a decent skill to have, Takamine must pay a price to activate it. She has to strip off a piece of her underwear. After getting an imperfect score on the test, Takamine begins to remove her underwear during class and is spotted by an average and weak-willed classmate, Koichi Shirota, who is bewildered by the sight. However, the very next instant, things reset and Takamine's test is now perfect. When Shiroto decides to confront Takamine about her previous test score, she reveals her ability to him and blackmails him into becoming her closet, making him carry around extra underwear and put them on her. Her goal is to be able to use Eternal Virgin Road as much as possible in order to stay at the top of the school hierarchy. Left with little choice in the matter, Shirota accepts starting an oddly intimate relationship with the most popular girl at school. This stood out to me as being the most unhinged anime of this spring lineup. However, after checking out the first episode, it felt a little anticlimactic to me. It's like the gimmick wore off really quick, so unless they do something really interesting soon, like, I don't know, rob a bank or commit murder using the power, I'm probably not going to be very interested in this anime personally. Number 8. Sword of the Demon Hunter Kijin Gentosho is available on Amazon Prime Video. It is rated R as an action, adventure, fantasy, and adapted from the historical fantasy novel written by Moto Nakanashi. The first episode premiered March 31st with a score of 7.7, plans to broadcast Tuesdays at midnight JST. being produced by Yokohama Animation Laboratory, and the synopsis reads: in the Edo period, there is a shrine maiden called Itsukihime. In the mountain village of Kowloon, Jinta, a young man who acts as a shrine maiden's guardian despite being a stranger, encounters a mysterious demon who speaks of the far future in the forest where he went to defeat it. From Edo to Heisei era, the huge Japanese fantasy series follows a demon man who travels through time while continuously questioning the meaning of wielding a sword. Number 9. Can a boy-girl friendship survive? Is available on Crunchyroll. It is a rom-com, adapting from the light novel by Nana. It premiered April 4th with a score of 7.5. Plans to broadcast Fridays at 10:30 p.m. JST, being produced by JC Staff. The synopsis reads: a boy and a girl pledge a lifelong friendship in a small-town junior high school. The relationship between the two, who are destined to share a common dream, has passed 2 years without any particular development. Himari Inuzuka is a bubbly girl who has yet to find her first love, and Yu Natsume is a plant-loving boy who enjoys flowers, still spends their days peacefully as best friends in the gardening club in the second year high school. If you can't get married, I have to take responsibility. However, when Yu reunites with his first crush, the gears of their relationship suddenly go out of sync. Will Himari be able to escape her ideal friend now that she has found love? Number 10. Witch Watch is available on Netflix. It is an adaptation of the manga by Kenta Shinohara and is a comedy supernatural anime that aired on April 6th with a score of 7.5. Plans to broadcast Sundays at 5 p.m. JST. Produced by Biburi Animation Studios. The synopsis reads: Nico Wakatsuki has finished her 6 years of witch training and is moving back to town by herself. As a new witch, she must choose a familiar to accompany her. However, unlike the other witches, she wishes to pick a non-animal familiar. There's no better companion than Morihito Moi Otogi, her childhood friend who happens to be an ogre. Morihito is opposed to being her servant at first, but he reluctantly accepts his fate after learning that a curse would revert him into a strange cow-tiger hybrid were he to disobey a witch's order. Due to Morihito's father leaving for a business trip and Nico's mother remaining behind in the witch's holy land, the two teens find themselves living together under the same roof. While Nico is ecstatic to be living with her crush, Morihito finds that her magical antics and overall clumsiness create more problems than solutions. With a prophesied disaster to befall Nico within the year, Morihito must do everything he can to protect her as her bodyguard while also upholding his duties as her familiar. This ended up being a lot cuter than I expected and could end up being my favorite romance of the spring season so far, I'm not gonna lie. Number 11, From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman is available on Crunchyroll and Prime Video. It is an adaptation of the light novel by Sagazaki Shigeru and is an action-adventure fantasy story that premiered on April 5th with a score of 7.4. Plans to broadcast Saturdays at 10:30 p.m. JST, produced by Studio Passionate. The synopsis reads: Bero Grindeheart, a self-proclaimed humble old man, is a sword instructor at his dojo in the rural backwater village. In his younger years, he dreamed of glory as a master swordsman, but those days are long behind him. Out of the blue, he receives a visit from a famous former pupil who brings him world-shattering news. He's been appointed as a special instructor for the Knights of the Liberian Order. With his new life now turned upside down, Beryl travels to the capital and reunites with some of his former students, elite knights, an ace wizard, and even an adventurer who's attained the highest guild rank possible. But why do they all want his instructions? As far as he's concerned, they clearly don't need him anymore. Can Beryl live up to his new position, or will he ever get a moment's peace away from his adoring students? Number 12, Go Go Loser Ranger Season 2 is available on Crunchyroll. The first episode hasn't come out yet, but it will premiere on April 13th. Plans to broadcast Sundays at 10:30 p.m. JST and is produced by Yostor Pictures, who has also done the first season. Number 13, The Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows is available on Crunchyroll. It is adapted from the light novel by Hishikawa Sakuku. It is a fantasy with a medical theme, and the first episode premiered April 3rd with a score of 6.5. Plans to broadcast Thursdays at 11:30 p.m. JST, produced by Makina Studio, and the synopsis reads: Life hasn't been kind to Zenos. He was born in the slums, and his dirt-poor background has denied him almost every opportunity. After an encounter with a healer, he throws himself into studying to become one, and finally catches a break when an adventurer invites Zenos into his party. Zenos is thrilled, so thrilled in fact, that he's willing to put up with his teammates treating him like garbage. They fail to appreciate his talent and ultimately kick him to the curb, claiming he's outlived his usefulness to them. Now bereft of money and out of options, Zenos decides to put his self-taught skills to use elsewhere and opens an underground clinic. Word quickly spreads about the brilliant healer working incredible magic in the city's shadowy underbelly. Even the royal palace is taking notice. Can Zenos buck the odds and carve out a life for himself in a world that's spit in his face? And can he save the lives of the patients who wind up on his doorstep in the process? Number 14, Kowloon Generic Romance is available on Crunchyroll. It is an adaptation of the sci-fi romance manga by Maizuki Jun. The first episode premiered April 5th with a score of 7.8, plans to broadcast Saturdays at 11 p.m. JST, produced by Arvo Animation that is a romance sci-fi seinen with a synopsis that reads, in a distant future, individuals who adore the old way of life live in Kowloon walled city, a slum city that serves as a refuge for those who long for the Hong Kong of the past. Realtor Reiko Kujirai, however, craves for the new and exciting places in the area. In contrast, her only co-worker, Hajime Kudo, enjoys the nostalgia the city invokes and is put off by anything modern that seeps past its walls. But despite their differing views and constant bickering on the most mundane of things, the two often find themselves enjoying each other's company. One day, a prank gone wrong leads Hajime to make an unexpected advance toward Reiko, after which he swiftly apologizes for. Baffled by his actions, Reiko starts investigating for possible explanations, only to discover a past that she has no memory of. Number 15. Number 15, Black Butler, Emerald Witch Arc, is the 5th season of Black Butler and is available on Crunchyroll. The first episode aired on April 5th with a score of 8, plans to broadcast Saturdays at 11 p.m. JST, produced by Aniplex, who also done the previous seasons. Black Butler holds a very special nostalgic place in my heart, so I'm just glad to see them back. Number 16, I'm the Evil Lord of Intergalactic Empire, is available on Crunchyroll. It is an adaptation of the light novel of the same name, written by Mishimi Yomu. The first episode premiered April 6th with a score of 6.6, plans to broadcast Sundays at 2 a.m. JST, being produced by the studio Quad that is an action, fantasy, sci-fi isekai with a synopsis that reads, in his last life, Liam lived as a moral, responsible person, but died, deep in debt and betrayed by his wife. Reborn into the ruling family of a vast interstellar empire, Liam knows that life is divided between the downtrodden and the ones who do the stomping. So this time, he's going to take what he wants and live for himself. But somehow, things refuse to work out that way. Despite doing his best to become a tyrant, Liam's decisions lead to nothing but peace and prosperity for the Empire under his rule, and he just gets more and more popular. Number 17, The Shiunji Family Children, is available on Crunchyroll, and this is an adaptation of the manga by Miyajima Reiji. The first episode premiered April 8th with a score of 7, plans to broadcast Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m. JST. The love between brother and sister, the love between man and woman, that which is most forbidden and most unwielding. The 2 sons and 5 daughters of Shiunji family shine like brilliant gems, each with intelligence and beauty in equal measure. And with the pedigree of their wealthy father behind them, how could they not be the talk of the town? Eldest son Arata has spent his life being tossed around by the whims of his colorful sisters. Yet a little teasing won't stop him from valuing his family over anything and anyone else. When his youngest sister turns 15, their father reveals a long-hidden secret in the Shiunji siblings and knocks Arata's world off its axis. Oh, okay. That was the first time I read that synopsis. Okay. Ooh. Number 18, Your Forma, is available on Crunchyroll and Samsung TV Plus and is an adaptation of the light novel by Kikuishi Mariho. The first episode premiered April 2nd with a score of 6.7, plans to broadcast Wednesdays at 11:45 p.m. JST, produced by Geno Studio that is a mystery sci-fi with a detective theme to it, and a synopsis that reads, in an alternate 2023, the Your Forma, a miraculous smart threat technology initially developed to treat the massive outbreak of a viral virus, has become an integral part of daily life. But these convenient devices come with an invasive drawback. They record every sight, sound, and even emotion their users experience. For electronic investigator Echika Hida, diving into people's memories via the Your Forma and hunting for evidence to solve the toughest crimes is all part of a day's work. The problem is, she's so good at what she does that her assistants literally fry their brains trying to keep up with her. After putting one too many aides into the hospital, the top brass finally furnish Echika with a partner of her level, a brilliant yet cheeky android named Harold Lucraft. Does this unlikely duo have what it takes to resolve their mutual suspicions and avert a deadly technological infection from sweeping across the globe before it's too late? Number 19, The Unaware Atelier Meister, is available on Crunchyroll and Amazon Prime Video and is an adaptation of the light novel by Tokino Yosuke. The first episode released April 6th with a score of 6.9. Nice. Plans to broadcast Sundays at 10 p.m. JST, produced by EMT Squared and is an action adventure fantasy with a synopsis that reads, one day, Kurt, a kind-hearted boy, is suddenly kicked out of the hero's party for being useless. He finds that his aptitude for weapons, magic, and all other combat-related skills is the lowest rank, so he takes odd jobs repairing the castle walls and digging for minerals, where his exceptional abilities are immediately revealed. He proves to be skillful in cooking, building, mining, crafting magical tools, In fact, his aptitude for every skill unrelated to combat has a triple S ranking. Kurt, however, seems completely unaware of his talent and ends up saving people, the town, and even the country through his unaware actions. Number 20, Once Upon a Witch's Death, is available on Crunchyroll and Amazon Prime Video and is an adaptation light novel by Saka. The first episode released April 1st with a MyAnimeList score of 7, plans to broadcast Tuesdays at 11:30 p.m. JST, produced by EMT Squared again. It is an adventure, drama, fantasy with a synopsis that reads, on her 17th birthday, the apprentice witch Meg learns that she only has 1 year left to live. Her teacher, the long-lived witch Faust, explains that the only way to undo the death curse is to collect tears of joy and grow the seed of life. To find them, Meg has to leave the sheltered life that she's known and head out into the world. There will be meetings, partings, and friendships aplenty, and of course, many tears. Meg will learn the most important lessons for a witch are bright, sweet, and somewhat heart-wrenching. Number 21, Shoshimin How to Become Ordinary Season 2 is available on Crunchyroll. The first episode premiered April 6th with a score of 7.6, plans to broadcast Sundays at 1:30 a.m. JST, and produced by Studio Lopin Track, who did the first season as well. Number 22, The Two Perfect Saint, tossed aside by my fiancé and sold to another kingdom, is available on Crunchyroll and is an adaptation of the light novel by Fuyutsuki Kulki. The first episode will premiere April 10th, plans to broadcast Thursdays at midnight JST, produced by Choyoka and is a fantasy romance with a synopsis that reads, Philia hails from a family renowned for producing generations of saints, and she is no exception. In fact, she is known as the most powerful saint of all time, so extraordinarily gifted that many people find her insufferable. When even her fiancé decides he can't stand her, he suddenly calls off their engagement. He's so eager to never see her again that he sells her off to a neighboring country in dire need of a saint of their own. Now, Philia readies herself to face the unknown, fully expecting more miserable treatment. After all, she'd be a fool to expect anyone to welcome her with open arms, right? Number 23, Summer Pockets, is available on Crunchyroll and is based off a visual novel. The first episode premiered April 7th with a score of 7.5, plans to broadcast Mondays at 11:30 p.m. JST, produced by Studio Feel, and it's a slice of life with a synopsis that reads, Summer Pockets is set on an isolated, rural, and peaceful island in the Seto Inland Sea called Torishiro-jima, which has a population of about 2,000 people. The protagonist, Hare Takahara, grew up in an urban setting, but after an unpleasant incident, he uses the recent death of his grandmother as an excuse to come to the island to take care of her estate sale. Once there, he gets to know 4 girls who are the focus of the story. Shiroha Naruhuse, who forgot her summer vacation. Ao Sorokado, who is pursuing the legend of the island. Kamome Kushima, a high school class girl looking for a pirate ship. And Sumugi Wenders, a younger girl trying to find herself. Number 24, Makina-san's Love Bot is available on Crunchyroll, or at least it should be. I've just double checked and I can't seem to find it anywhere on any official site in my European region, so if you're in Europe at least, you might have to find other creative ways of finding it. Otherwise, it's an adaptation of the manga by Sato Yoshimi. The first episode premiered April 7th with a score of 6.5, plans to broadcast Mondays at 1:20 a.m. JST, and produced by Studio Blooms. It is a comedy, romance, sci-fi ecchi with no official rating, but the synopsis reads, Makina Agatsuma, the school idol, moves into the home of Eita Akutsu, an introverted mechanical otaku. Eita, who has secretly harbored feelings for her, thinks he's hit the jackpot, but it turns out she's actually a robot made for sexual purposes. Caught off guard by her sudden physical advances, the virgin Eita is at a loss. Furthermore, he finds himself in a frenzy to help her maintain her secret identity. A romantic comedy with a slightly risque mechanical revelation, where hilarity ensues as they try to keep the secret under wraps. And lastly, number 25 is Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers is available on Crunchyroll. I want to admit I'm cheating a little bit by including this in the top 25 as it's actually technically 35, but I wanted to squeeze it into this video because I think it's genuinely interesting enough that people should come to know this anime, that it exists, guys. Guilty Gear has a freaking anime. The first episode premiered April 5th with a score of 6.1. Plans to broadcast Saturdays at 11:30 p.m. JST. Produced by Sanzigen, is an action with a synopsis that reads, after the decline of the once robust fields of science and technology, a new energy source known as magic fuels the modern era. Humanity creates forbidden biological weapons, gears. Those gears eventually stand against humanity in rebellion. Although they manage to overcome in a struggle for survival known as the Crusades, humanity's losses are so great that even after several decades pass, their emotional wounds remain unable to fully heal. Sin Kisuke, the child of a human and a gear, heads to his father Kai and the mother's Dizzy's wedding ceremony. Their wedding breaks the ultimate taboo, a union between a human and a gear. Even with the world at peace, it took many years for such a ceremony to come to fruition. Despite the complex array of emotions surrounding it, the wedding ceremony is met with blessings, when suddenly a mysterious girl appears. The fated child inheriting gear blood and the mysterious girl who despises gears. Their meeting would shake the world. I think the trend of adapting games into anime is really cool, and I think Guilty Gears is going pretty well so far in my opinion. So that concludes the 25 most popular spring 2025 anime I think you should know about. This is the first time I'm delivering content in a format like this, so if you have any feedback, I'd be greatly appreciative. So by the time that fall 2025 season comes around, I can know how I could better deliver content like this again. Anyways, with that said, thanks for watching, as I've been Frank, your anime news reporter, signing off for today. Hoping to see you again. Take care.